first story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my mom she should feel like a bad mom because she is one? I'm just gonna add here, I'm going to talk about periods, so if that's bothersome, I'd suggest you not read. I, female 18, have 3 siblings. 17 male, 15 female, 14 female. My mom has never been involved in our lives. She was around sometimes, and when my dad passed away 5 years ago, she was almost unbothered and continued to live her life. A year later, she married an old friend of my dad's. Together, they went on all sorts of trips, made plans with just them, and my siblings and I were at my grandparents' house almost every day. The few times my mom cared to be around us was when she wanted to take family pictures to post online. Because of my mom being absent, my sisters relied on me to teach them about their periods, and I gave them the talk as well. I've discussed those things nearly 2 to 3 years ago and did my best to explain everything I knew at 16, and it seemed to have done the job. Since quarantine, my mom has been forced to stay at home, and she pouted about it the first few months. Around July last year, she found out my youngest sister was having periods, and she got annoyed she wasn't the first to know. My sister has been having them for over 2 years. Lately, my mom has been trying to talk to my sisters and offer them motherly advice, as she calls it. She's had no access, but still pushes it almost daily. Last night, my sister was having a really off day and went to bed earlier than normal. My mom kept bothering her and telling her it was too early to sleep. It was 9 p.m., and my sister blew up at her and told her to basically piss off. She came downstairs where my brother and I were at, and she started going on how she blamed my dad for making us choose him as the favorite parent, and if it weren't for him, she'd have a better relationship with us. That much ticked me off, because she chose to live some child-free lifestyle rather than be around us. She kept going on how she missed so many milestones in our lives, like my sisters getting their first period or my brother getting his first girlfriend. Not once did she try to acknowledge she was the main reason she missed those things. Here's where I feel like an a-hole. I blew up at her, completely lost it. I told her she needed not to blame my dad, and if she wanted to know the real reason she missed out, she should look in the mirror. She started crying, instead of making her look like a bad mother. I ended it with, she should feel like a bad mother because she is one. I've since felt awful for what I said, and I think I might have been too harsh on her. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You didn't make her look like a bad mother. She did. Not the a-hole. You were harsh, but it sounds true. She didn't know one of her daughters had already had their periods for 2 years. If she really wants to take steps to repair relationships, the first step is to apologize. The second is to take steps to change. And the third is likely therapy. She'd also have to understand that simply saying you're a family again doesn't mean everything is fixed. Sorry for everything you've gone through. Sounds like you've been a stellar big sister, though. Opie's mother's willful ignorance means she deserves the hard truth. Time to make penance and eat some humble pie. Not the a-hole. Your mother seems to have confused you and your siblings with dolls and thought that she could basically ignore you for years and that you'd still be waiting in a toy box when she decided that she wanted to play with you again. Not the a-hole. Your mother doesn't even deserve the title. You and your grandparents have had to fill the void because she wanted to live without the burden of her own children. Her tears are not your fault or your problem. Just because someone cries doesn't make them a victim. I'm sorry you didn't get the mother you deserve. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad not to bother with me because I'll be gone when I'm 18? My dad wasn't around when I, male 17, was a kid. Always working, and when he was around he didn't do much with me. All school stuff, games, birthday parties, or only my mom, while he would just be at home. Then it came out he was cheating on my mom when I was 7. They split up, but I stayed with my mom. He never visited or would say he is and then not come. I pretty much forgot about him until my mom passed away a year ago, and my life has been horrible ever since. Don't worry, I'm in therapy. I got an awesome therapist and talk to her every week online. The thing is, I was forced to come live with my dad. I wanted to go with my grandparents, but he wanted me to be here with his family, and grandparents pushed me into going with him. My dad's trying to act like he hasn't ignored me all these years. He married a coworker he cheated with, and they had my little sister who's almost 2. She's a cutie, and the only one I actually like in this house. Probably won't see her after this, but not like she'll remember me. My dad knows I don't like him, and literally every day he bugs me about doing stuff with him and his wife. I don't talk to them or do anything when they invite me. I make my own meals at different times so I don't sit with them at the table. Go to school online, stay in my room, talk to friends, go to work or play with my sister. But never do anything with them. When I moved in, I told my dad this doesn't change anything with him, and I don't care if he decided to step up now that my mom's gone. I don't want to connect with him. Even when mom was doing chemo, he never offered help until after she died. He said he hopes to change my mind, but all I said was, good luck. I was off yesterday, and my dad invited me to go out for pizza, but I told him no. He was fed up, I could tell. Said I need to start getting used to him being in my life again, and it's better for us to start trying to build our relationship. That made me snap. I said don't bother, because I'm not gonna be here that long. As soon as I'm 18 in 4 months, I'll be out of their house and he won't see me again. My dad was shocked. He didn't believe me, but I told him I've been saving money ever since I started working a couple years ago. I'm even already looking for cheap apartments, and my boss is gonna let me work full-time, so I'd make enough to support myself. Won't need help with college since I got grants and financial aid for that. He's been silent ever since and not trying to talk anymore. My stepmom gives me dirty looks. Earlier, she said I was an ungrateful turd because I hurt my dad deeply, telling him I'm going no contact soon when he's tried to make things right. Don't see what the big deal is. When we didn't see each other for years, and it's obvious we know how not to be in each other's lives. But yes, I was an a-hole for telling him I'm leaving. Was I though? Not an a-hole. He deserved it. You could have held off on telling him to be more comfortable until you leave though. I don't think he deserves another chance at all. I mean, he can kick me out if he wants, and at least I'll get to be with my grandparents for a few months before I turn 18. Funny your stepmom thought it was hurtful to ignore your dad, but not hurtful to sleep with a married man who has a child. She's got no business stepping into your relationship, or lack thereof, with your dad. Keep doing what you're doing. Just get your ducks lined up in a row before you go, and good luck. Do these people think kids/teenagers don't have memories? Not they hole. They also apparently don't think teenagers have as acute emotions as adults do. Not an a-hole. He's just mad because he is a horrible father and doesn't want to accept it. If he truly wanted to be in your life, he could have reached out earlier. Sorry for your loss. I'm glad you're getting help. Thanks. It's helping a lot talking to her because I sure as hell don't want to talk to him about my mom. It's been easier having someone to go to, and she knows how to handle my stuff. Have you ever had a therapy session with your dad present? No. Would you ever want to? Or are you over ever having a relationship with him? No, that ship has pretty much sailed. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my dad see my daughter after he disowned her? I'll make this short because I understandably hate talking about this. My wife, 38 female, and I, 32 male, have struggled with miscarriages. We've had 3, along with other health issues. We were desperate for a baby together. We've struggled for years. And thank goodness we were lucky to find out we were expecting a baby girl. My parents were thrilled, especially my dad. He bought clothes/toys/checked in on us, and made sure he was there to support us and his future granddaughter. Our daughter was born with a defect, Down syndrome. My wife and I knew we had many challenges in the future, but that didn't make us less excited or unhappy. My dad, however, had an awful reaction after I found out. He kept bringing up that it was my wife's fault, that I should have married a younger woman, which was awful of him to say. He said that he didn't want to have anything to do with this. He distanced himself and stopped talking to us and visiting us and took the stuff back. I got contact, but my mom visited regularly. This happened years ago. My daughter is now 3. I'm in contact with my sister, and she has a 1-year-old son that my dad spends time with. Posts pictures off on social media and brings gifts too. I couldn't help but feel hurt and angry. He didn't even try to reach out, and it's been years. Recently, I heard my sister got in an argument with my dad. She moved out of state, and he didn't want her and her husband to move so he could see his grandson. My mom would visit and talk about how frustrated and mad my dad is. Despite telling her to drop it, she mentioned that my dad wants us to visit so he could start spending time with his granddaughter. I asked her, what granddaughter? Because for 3 years he disowned her, and for her entire life he's been acting like she doesn't exist. I can't remember the number of nights when I wake up to my wife crying because of what they said. Now my mom is calling me cruel for not agreeing to let her near my daughter. I argued with her, and I saw that others started reaching out wanting to set up a meeting, but I refused to go. They're saying I'm robbing him of a relationship with my daughter, ignoring that it was a decision he made 3 years ago. Am I the a-hole here? The issue is, this has been causing everyone around me to point their fingers at me, saying I'm being bitter and preventing my dad from having his granddaughter in his life. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. He only wants a relationship with your daughter because his other grandchild is not available to him. Your daughter deserves so much better than that man. Tell your dad, mom, and anyone who agrees with them that they can bug off because you won't subject your daughter to such a disgusting person. I'm so sorry you and your wife are going through this. You sound like excellent parents, and I wish your family the best. But stick with your gut. You don't owe that man anything. Not to mention, what happens when the other daughter moves back into the state? What happens if grandpa and grandma decide to move to the state where the other grandkid is? It's so much worse for children's development to have caregivers that move in and out of their lives than it is for them to lack the presence of that caregiver entirely. Not the a-hole. Not by a long shot. This isn't bitterness, this is protecting his daughter. They don't even need to move back. What if the families go on vacation together? I bet you Grandpa will spoil his favorite grandchild, and that little girl will have her heart broken because Grandpa will blatantly favor the other child. Not the a-hole. He hasn't even apologized for his actions. He hasn't contacted you at all. For all you know, he still wants nothing to do with his granddaughter. Plus, if he means things with your sister, will he drop your daughter once he has her son again? No, he hasn't reached out. And I keep asking myself questions since he showed his love is conditional and it might hurt my daughter to be exposed to this. It will hurt your daughter and your wife to be exposed to that horrible man. Not the a-hole. Your daughter is not a consolation prize for him, now that his grandson has moved far away. He made his decision years ago. He does not have a granddaughter. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to open the door for my brother and his kids? I, 27 male, lost my wife to brain cancer less than a year ago. It was devastating. She was about to start her career as a doctor. My family just called and visited from time to time. They'd avoid me mostly. They've been busy trying to fix brother's issues with his wife. They've been having problems for months, and my mom and aunts were trying to get involved and fix the situation for the sake of the kids. My brother ends up going to stay with my mom every time he had an argument with his wife. They have 3 kids. I've heard brother and his wife are doing okay, and mom calls me to check in on me, mostly to brag about her efforts to fix the situation between my brother and his wife. This was my first Valentine's Day without my wife, and it hurts. I decided to spend a day at home by myself and look at some pictures and remember some of our great moments as a way to feel better. I got a call from my brother telling me that he and his wife were on the way to drop off their kids so I could watch them while they go out to a restaurant. I politely said no, said that I needed some time for myself. This is my first Valentine's Day without my wife, so I expected they'd understand. He finished the call deliberately. Then 18 minutes later, I heard knocking on the door. I saw my brother with his kids at my door. I was pissed. I spoke to him behind the door and told him I won't open the door after he already ignored my answer. He complained that he's already here and didn't find anyone else, and that I was being unhelpful and mean to my nephews and niece. I reminded him that I wanted time for myself and I'm not ready to babysit for them. His wife got out of the car and they both started talking about how selfish I was and that I'm refusing to help and trying to ruin their dinner because misery loves company. I argued with them, and after they kept pressuring me, I walked away from the door and went into the bedroom. They left. Then I received a call from my mom berating me for refusing to watch the kids and that I might have just ruined what she and aunt tried to fix. That brother needed support at this time, and I was being unsupportive and bitter. I lashed out and reminded her that I'm the one who needs support because my wife's no longer here. It hasn't even been a goddamn year and this is how they're acting? I just hung up on her after she tried to blame me for not opening the door for them and said I was selfish and miserable. From what I understand, my brother was probably counting on me having the kids till the next day. Since mom mentioned details, I assume it was her idea, but I ruined it for them. I know this isn't the first time I babysit for them, but this time I really thought they'd leave me alone. My aunt had her son-in-law and daughter visiting, but I have no idea why my mom didn't take the kids. Probably thought that having the kids stay with me will keep me from feeling upset. Not a hole. They're being extremely selfish, and it's not your job, or frankly, anyone else's, to help fix their relationship or watch their kids. They suck. I'm sorry for your loss. Looks like they've gotten used to being the center of your mother and aunt's world because of their problems. Just ignore them. As the top comment points out, it's selfish and not your problem. Not a hole. Not a hole. First off, I'm so sorry about your wife. Cancer is a demon I wish we never had to meet. Second, you said no. No is a complete sentence. They counted on you saying yes and steamrolled you when things didn't go their way. It's horrible. Your family is wretched for this one. These people are not family. They are genetic kin only. I hope he lost his family when his wife died. I hope he has other friends who can become his family. Why didn't your mom or aunt watch them? Trying to fix the situation with words is cheap and easy. Actually, babysitting costs money and is rarely easy. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe.